friends, and welcome back. I'm Shannon Makes, historical creator and sewist by day, professional athlete by night. And I wanted to sit here with you for a sort of cozy, informal, casual wrap-up of the year, and looking back over some past projects as well as looking forward to some things to come for the channel, but of course in my own unique manner. First up, if you've been here for any amount of time, you're probably well aware of the fact that I take great pride and pleasure in heavily editing my videos, and so let's take a look back at some of the in-camera moments that I am the most proud of. It's not just fancy in-camera transitions either, it's also some fun Easter eggs that I like to leave for eagle-eyed viewers, a trend that I plan to continue as the year progresses. So take a look at these and perhaps you'll find some that you hadn't noticed before.
Potatoes.
So those were all some pretty short in-camera work that did take advanced planning, but once they were filmed, the heavy part of the lifting was pretty much over. There were some moments, however, that took some really intense editing, and two of my favorite are as follows. This shot was not only a fun split screen to set up and film and then cut together, but I also had to stabilize all of this footage after the fact because they are filmed with my camera on our living room chandelier, which has a tendency to sway back and forth a lot. And then there is this crown jewel in my editing crown, which is from my circus in a corset video, which not only took quite a while to film, but then took close to 4 hours to edit together, masking each individual version of myself as necessary so that I interacted with all of my other avatars in a nice and logical manner. Looking back over the past year, I also realized how many objects I use in place of pattern weights, basically grabbing whatever's closest to me when I tend to be sewing, and apparently that's never the same object. Fortunately, however, I did at least finish the year out with some actual pattern weights, even if they weren't actually mine. Besides my subconscious aversion to paperweights, I also discovered another interesting and perhaps concerning trend. Some of the videos that I film have a natural flow that I dislike to interrupt, but other videos do break down pretty nicely into sections, and I really enjoy planning and filming these chapter cards, although it is occasionally embarrassing to admit how much time I spend on them, and so I thought we could look at a quick roundup of some of my favorite ones. I think everyone here is well aware of Canelle. She is a huge part of my day. She's never far from my side, and often you can spot her in the corner of the frame. Sometimes we'll take a short sewing break and go out and enjoy Copenhagen, and often we'll take you with us. And I won't waste too much time here because I know not all of you are here for the corgi content, but here's a short roundup of the best Canelle moments of 2021. And because everybody loves a good before-after comparison, let's take a look at some of the best flips, transformations, and glow-ups of this past year. of the best parts about looking back over the past year was realizing how many people I met through this hobby. I always try and acknowledge the other sewists and costubers that I work with, whether they've simply given me advice or maybe we're actively working on a project together and doing an official collaboration.
Merci beaucoup Marion, tu m'as sauvé la vie. Woo!
And of course, there's the ultimate collab, the occasional cameo from Phil, partner, chauffeur, and general goofball who joins me on screen as well as off. 2021 was full of some interesting challenges that required some creative problem solving, whether it was some form of pattern tracing or lacking the proper number or quantity of clamps for any specific situation. There was lots of experimenting and more than a few mock-ups. Many of them were big, and some were very, very small. But they all did their job of helping to visualize a pattern before cutting into the real fabric. 2021 was also the first time I ever tried soldering. The first time I tried pattern matching and French seams, and was also the first time I ever hosted a sew-along, a process which was incredibly rewarding and introduced me to a ton of really fantastic people, and was also incredibly stressful just in terms of getting out one video per week that was logical, well edited, and easy to follow for a novice sewist. This is a project that I'm not sure I will do again in the coming year. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you join in for the first sew-along, or would you like to see one in the future? Or would you rather I stick to the fancy makes? I also designed my own fabric for the first time and participated in my first costume symposium, which was another experience which was incredibly rewarding and incredibly stressful. I feel a retrospective wouldn't be complete without a list of some of my favorites. So first of all, here are your favorites from the past year. And for me, I feel like my favorites are definitely Bilbo's housecoat, my tailor's ham, and the Victorian fainting couch for my corgi. I loved the script of the robe and the ham videos, and I really enjoyed the pacing and the editing from the corgi couch. And if you haven't seen those 3 videos, at least I highly recommend to go check them out because they are the ones that I am absolutely the most proud of. I also really enjoyed doing and editing my circus in a corset video, although I did expect it to get a little bit more views than it did, so I don't know. What can you say? The algorithm is a mystery. And in a sort of surprise turn, I did really enjoy doing my various deep dives, both the athletic corset series, which was a 2-parter in terms of the deep dive part of it, and the weird and interesting Victorian fashion facts. I forget what I called it, but that was also really enjoyable, although it definitely also was not as popular among you, my viewers, so clearly I should probably stick more to the makes. So now that we've basically covered 2021, what's in store for 2022? What can you expect from me and my channel in the coming year? Well, I imagine it'll basically be more of the same, but probably in slightly lesser quantities. I will probably be stepping back from YouTube slightly in the coming year. I've immensely enjoyed interacting with everyone in the community, both on the YouTube Costube side of it, as well as those of you who comment all the time on my videos, and we have chats on Instagram. I've really enjoyed all of that. But making videos, especially the way that I like to do it with some sort of storytelling and a lot of angles and a ton of time in the editing room, it just takes up so much time. And while I wouldn't say that, you know, my channel is doing poorly, I also don't think I could say that it's quite where I hoped that it would be, based purely on how much time and energy and care I've sunk into it. So while I will still be sewing and making, I'll probably only be filming and editing maybe one video per month, maybe one every 3 weeks, maybe without any sort of schedule at all. I am not entirely sure yet. I might end up getting bored and going back to one video every 2 weeks. Who knows? But don't be surprised if you see a little bit less of me in the coming year. In better news, however, another change that I had contemplated was actually doing something very similar to what I did for my housecoat video, which is following up the formal, highly edited make video with a much more relaxed, informal live stream or some sort of video, even if it's not live, but along the same lines, where I can just kind of casually sit down and chat with you face to face about all the details of the project that didn't make it into the original version. Because there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes that doesn't make it into the final video. And it's not that I don't want to show the mistakes or that I want to give the impression that I'm somehow better at creating than I am. And it's not always mistakes that don't make the cut, because a lot of the mistakes do make the cut, let's be honest. But it's just that, you know, YouTube has a certain attention span, let's say, that viewers are looking for. And already, even as tightly edited as my videos are, they are often pushing the 25-minute mark, which is definitely on the longer end for YouTube. So I feel like making one really highly edited video so that, you know, it's kind of mass appeal, and I really enjoy doing that kind of editing as well. But then following it up with a much more relaxed chat could be something that I want to look into. And then those people who are interested in details of that project can go and watch, and other people can just ignore it. Come. Okay. Now that the dog is back inside, in terms of projects that I have lined up in the coming year, number one on my list is my late 1890s ensemble that I already have all the fabric collected for, but the project has admittedly stalled somewhat because it was originally supposed to be a historical Hogwarts. I really wanted to make a late 1890s Quidditch uniform, because when I see myself in the Harry Potter universe, which is admittedly a very large part of my childhood growing up, I loved the books, and I always kind of saw myself in that universe as someone who would naturally join the Quidditch team. I mean, if you know anything about my channel, I think you'll probably know exactly where I'm coming from. And I was super excited about that project because I thought it was a really unique take on making a Victorian ensemble. But obviously there's also the itty-bitty little issue that J.K. Rowling is a human dumpster fire, and I don't want my public participation in that universe to negatively affect the trans community or any of my viewers. And so I've really been struggling with or wrangling with this issue and how to tackle it, because I mean, I could obviously just drop the Hogwarts theme altogether, and that is something that I might very well do, but then I also feel like that kind of leaves me with just another late 1890s ensemble, and do we really need yet another walking skirt video? I don't really think so. So that is something that I am still mulling over and working on. Please, if you have any suggestions of your own on how to tackle the topic or alternative ideas, please feel free to let me know. Send me a message, leave it in the comments below. I am very open to suggestions on this topic. And then also related to that, I do have an late 1890s corset that I have all patterned out and ready to be made. I have the concept for the video in mind. I just need to sit down and take the time to actually film it. And then coming up in the less antique and more vintage section of the channel, I do have several pairs of vintage trousers, slacks, breeches, jodhpurs, that sort of thing. I have several pairs that need to be made and several patterns that are waiting to be made, ranging from, well, I already did the 1890s knickerbockers. I have actual antique patterns from the 40s. I have drafting manuals from the late 30s, early 40s. I have vintage reproduction patterns, and I thought it would be fun to sit down and make a whole bunch of them and then compare them, both how they fit, how they look, as well as what are the pros and cons of using these different kinds of methods or patterns, how they turned out, how they went together, that whole thing, because I feel like there are a lot of skirt and dress videos out there for the history bounders as well as the historical costumers, but there aren't a whole lot of people making pants. So either I've really found my niche and I'm onto something here, or nobody's making these videos because nobody wants to be wearing pants. I guess we'll find out. But me, I am a Victorian tomboy at heart, and I do love my pants because it is just so much harder to climb a tree in a skirt. So I need some extra pairs of pants, and I'm gonna make them, and hopefully you will join me in the process of that. And then at least one other project that I know is in the works because it's already halfway done is I did purchase a World War II air raid suit pattern, and that has been mocked up. It is basically waiting for the final materials because, you know, of course I am making it almost entirely out of a secret, shall be yet unnamed recycled material, but that requires a bit of collection process, and you just can't rush these things. I've been on the lookout for this specific material for several months now. I almost have enough to make this project, and the mock-up looks super cute. I'm super excited about it, so definitely keep your ears tuned for that one when that video gets released. I think it's going to be quite fun. And that's about all. I'm going to wrap it up for now. I have spent enough time on your screens chatting with you, so definitely drop me a line in the comments below. Let me know what you are most excited about, if you have something that you really want to see me tackle, or if you just have general thoughts about the status of my channel. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic, relaxing, safe New Year's, whether you will be doing any sort of celebration or, like me, just cuddling up with your dog in your bed with a good book at 10:30 p.m. So I will see you all. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey thus far, and here's to 2022.